Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. UFC 307 Salt Lake City. Raquel Pennington was dethroned by Julianna Pena in a controversial split decision. You know, Julianna Pena is always in some controversy all the time, right? It's just that's who she is. You know what I mean? She understands like she don't have much time at the top of the game, so she's just taking advantage of it, even if it's not even in the ring. You know what I mean? It's like on interviews, she's just making up fake
Yeah.
news and going with the narratives, false narratives, and just trying to pull the biggest fights
Yeah.
to herself and respect her on that.
hmm
But after that event, Amanda Nunes, right? The greatest female fighter of all time, one of the greatest fighters of all time in many people's eyes. She posted a video saying, like tagging Dana White, and I believe she says, "Call me, please, Dana," which means like she wants to come back, right? She's retired, but she looks like she's in pretty good shape still from the video.
hmm
But does the division need Amanda Nunes to come back? You know what I mean? You got a couple contenders. Let me name a few just to refresh your mind. So the champion is Juliana Pena.
Right.
Number one contender, Raquel Pennington, who she just beat,
Yeah.
the former champ.
hmm
Number two, Kayla Harrison, the one that came from PFL.
Right.
Like a lot of people think that she's the uncrowned champion right
Yeah.
now. Caitlin Vieira, Macy Chazon, Norma Dumont, Irene Aldana. Are these names familiar to you?
Not all of them.
Be honest.
Not all of them. I'd say out of like how many names did you name? Like seven? I'd say.
Yeah, about six, five, six names. Yeah,
Okay,
seven
so let's
names.
see. Like out of the seven names, I think I got about four or five of them where I'm like, okay,
Okay, so let's go through the names and say yes or no.
okay,
Juliana Pena,
yes.
Raquel Pennington.
Before that fight, no. Before the most recent fight, no. I legit did not
Okay,
remember.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Kayla Harrison,
Yes.
Caitlin Vieira,
Also before that fight, no.
Macy Chazon,
Yes.
Norma Dumont,
Actually, yes, yes, I do remember Norma.
Irene Aldana,
Yes. Yeah, but it was because of that.
Mara.
Because for Irene, it was
Yeah,
because of
cut.
that massive cut. Yeah.
Not for fights. Let's talk about fights. Not for headlines of like they've getting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fights that you actually saw.
Yeah.
Okay, Mara Bueno Silva,
Yep, I remember her.
Holly Holm, of
Of
course,
course.
right?
Yep.
Carol Rosa,
Nope.
Yana Santos, Misha Tate. You know who she
Yeah.
is, right? I'm going through the top 15 right now.
This is brutal.
Julia Avila,
Nope.
Jermaine Durandamy,
Yes, actually, yes. This one, yes.
Aylin Perez,
Yes, but it's because of social media, not because of her fights.
and Chelsea Chandler.
Nope.
Okay, so does the division, the 135-pound division, the bantamweight division, women's division, do they need Amanda Nunes back?
Shit, man. Maybe. I think it needs more promotion and like intrigue, right? Well, because we were talking about this was the last time we talked where in a lot of these women's divisions there were very few finishes, right? And so like it kind of,
Mm.
but this kind of ties back into that discussion, I think, where it's like, well, we've got to make these fights more interesting if we want these names to be more memorable. Which I get it, it's tricky, right? And it's like, and the more risk averse you get like the less damage you want to take because more damage makes fights interesting. Like it's a double-edged sword where it's like sure if you want to grow your personal brand, right, you can do that. Like you can always do the Max Holloway Justin Gaethje 10 seconds left in the middle thing, like that's an iconic moment, but it's like do you really want to do that every fight, especially if
And they don't really have the power to do that every fight and make it exciting. To be honest
yeah
with you,
it's
right? Let's be honest.
exactly right. So it's like you have access to but also you're trying to win, right? So like if you're already winning, why would you give your opponent that chance, right? Because like Max Holloway's a badass, um but it's not the smartest thing to do every single time. Like he was doing that for to have a memorable moment, right? Like not to not because he desperately needed to knock Justin Gaethje out to win. So you've got to make those fights more intriguing one way or another, especially since it's a combat sport. Like, and for women, it's like sex appeal goes somewhat, but it doesn't go all the way, right? It's like it's like you can only ride that wave of like physical attractiveness for so much. It's like you're watching two people fight after all. So it's yeah, it's like they've gotta build more hype around the women's divisions, if like if they want things to be more memorable. That's a tricky thing to do.
Well, she was the women's bantamweight champion 2 times, the women's featherweight champion, which was not even a division, so you can't really put too much emphasis on that title.
Yeah.
And then she was the number one ranked pound for pound women's rank for a long time. She beat Chris Cyborg, who was like a lot of people like thought was the clear pound for pound women's, best fighter of the world
Yeah.
ever. She went into a slugfest with her, knocked her out,
Right.
and then, and then she did a long reign of title defenses, beating like the best girls from her era, all of them
Mm,
pretty much,
right.
starting with Ronda Rousey and everybody, right? Misha Tate, everybody.
Hmm.
And she's right now she's 36, right? So if she comes back, and the one fight that everybody wants to see is her versus Kayla Harrison, right? Because they used to be on the same team,
Hmm.
and Kayla is considered like this this like stylistic matchup that Amanda might have problems with,
Right.
and then they kind of have like this back and forth banter with each other.
Hmm.
If she comes back and beats Kayla Harrison, right, wins the title again, it doesn't matter who she fights. Just wins the title again, beats Kayla Harrison, or beat Kayla Harrison, wins the title again, makes a couple more title defenses.
Hmm.
Then she is becomes. I think she becomes like on the Mount Rushmore of like fighters just in general,
Right.
like MMA fighters just in general. Like right now, she's kind of like in her own little lane of the women's best ever.
Hmm.
But like just in general, like putting her up there with like Anderson Silva and GSP and all these names. Some people might put her up there next to them right now, but like I don't know. I don't know if I'd do that right now. But if she does come back and make another title reign and then retire as the winner,
Hmm.
you you can't even argue against her, man. Like she would be right there. She'd be the number one clear, dude. There would like it'd be like number one, and then number two would be a very far back behind.
That's true. Yeah, I guess it depends on what the viewership wants, right? So like I've seen mixed opinions on this, where it's like if you want close fights that are entertaining, then Amanda Nunes might not, assuming she comes back in like the same shape or form that she has fought with. But if you find intrigue in someone who comes back and just like mops the floor with most of the division, okay, then maybe like there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, because if you look at it, right, she beat Julianna Pena before.
Hmm.
So if she comes back and fights for the title, that's what Julianna Pena wants. She wants Menus to fight her for the title, right? So if she comes back, beats Julianna Pena twice, the trilogy, beats her twice, wins the title,
Right.
then defends it against Kayla Harrison, who was supposed to be the one that could dethrone her,
Hmm.
gets past that, and then there's a couple other names that are kind of rolling, kind of like climbing up the ranks, kind of the next generation of fighters
Yeah.
that she can beat. And then maybe someone will come along that will garner a lot of hype, and then she could fight them and then retire. Who knows, right? But there's a scenario where she could create another whole huge hype train behind her,
Hmm.
and become who she wants to be
Right.
is undeniable.